Hello everyone and welcome to Lesson 7, the penultimate session in the Construct Game Dev course for beginners. In today's session we're going to be talking about publishing and feedback, so let's jump right in. Publishing and feedback and refining your game. So how do you know if your game is any fun? Well, I reckon it's three main ways. So first is your prior experience of playing games and your instincts about games. When you're in flow, so flow, if you don't know, is that state you can get in when you're playing a game that's well designed and you are so focused in the game that you kind of lose sight of the outside world because the game is just keeping your attention so well. And hopefully you're enjoying it at the same time. But flow generally is a good thing. And lastly, and I think probably most importantly, is feedback. What is feedback? Well, feedback is very, very basically is when someone plays your game and tells you what they like and what they don't like about it. And when you get feedback on your game, you can use the useful feedback to decide how you want to make improvements to it. When I was working at King, making games like Farm Heroes and Shuffle Cats, we every week or every 2 weeks we did a playtest session, and in the playtest session we gathered everyone from our studio, so you might be like 50 people or so, and got them to play the games, get their hands on the game, and then tell us what they liked about the new features we'd added and what they didn't like or what they thought we could improve on. Another way we sought feedback at King was we had these public focus groups, which was where we would pay people, sounds a bit, a bit biased, but we would pay people to come in to spend maybe an hour or two in a group playing our game, and while they were playing, someone from our team would kind of circle the room and watch what they were doing and see what they liked and where they got stuck and stuff like that. And the last example that I'll give, which I've really enjoyed, if you haven't seen this movie called Indie Game the Movie, that's a really fun thing to watch. It's the documentary of three indie game studios making their games, and I think it spans over like 4 years. And so one of those games is Super Meat Boy. And what they show in that movie is the importance of a community. So each of these indie game studios have released their game regularly to a community who play the game and give them feedback on it as well. And so I guess the gist of all of this is when you can get feedback on your game, you can refine and improve it because you get different perspectives about it. So how do you give and receive feedback? Well, one way to do it, which I like, the simple framework, the ASK framework, which is where when giving feedback, you give actionable, specific, and kind feedback. Okay. So as an example, let's say that someone plays, I ask someone to play my game, and I'm hoping they'll give me some feedback. So then they come to give me feedback. Now, the first thing they might do, to be kind, they might actually ask me, "Hey, would you like some feedback on your game?" If I haven't already asked them. Also, to be kind, they might say what they did like about the game. So, for example, they might say, "Hey, I really liked the design, the aesthetics of your game. I think the player and the spaceships and the environment all fit together really well, and your animations are spot on." And so that's more kind feedback. Now they might say something specific, okay, and they might say something like, "Well, I noticed that when I was moving the player spacecraft, it didn't move as quickly as the enemy spacecrafts, which made it feel a little bit unfair to me and a little bit frustrating at times." So that's a specific, very, very specific piece of feedback that they've pointed to in the game. And then now for actionable, they might suggest how they might improve it. So they might say something like, "Well, one thing you could do is you could speed up the player spaceship to make it at the same speed as the enemy spaceships, and this might make it feel more fair and also like give it a bit more of a twitchy action feel." So there you go. So they've covered those three things: the kind, the very specific thing they noticed about the game, and then the actionable thing they might do to change it. Okay. So yeah, that's a good way to give feedback, a good framework. And I'll say a couple more things. So generally, I find it easiest, or I'm well prepared to receive feedback when I ask for it. So I reckon always ask for feedback, and so you're ready for it. And lastly, I find it easiest as well to respond to feedback just by saying thank you. Yeah, because sometimes feedback's going to be really useful, but they give it to you and you don't, maybe you just don't have the you haven't been able to digest it immediately, so you can't really think of what to say, or maybe even you feel a little bit defensive about something they've said. But maybe there's something useful in there. So rather than jump to saying something, you can just say, "Oh, thank you," and of course you can always ask for more. You can ask them for more details if they weren't quite specific enough. So yeah, that's my take on feedback, and yeah, get ready to use that in the next slide, which is going to be the challenge. So here's your challenge for today. I want you to gather feedback. So ask at least 2 people to play your game. Why 2 or more? Because you're probably going to get different perspectives from those people, and the more perspectives you get, generally the better. You can get quite cool ideas from people just playing your game. Okay, I won't talk so much, I'll just go through these quickly. Watch how they play and take notes. So importantly, please write down on pen and paper or somewhere what they're doing and what they say. So what do they enjoy about the game? What do they find frustrating? Do they miss anything, or do they get stuck somewhere? Write all this stuff down. And then lastly, when they're finished playing the game, ask them for feedback directly. So you could say, for example, what did you like? And how would you improve it? Do you have any other thoughts for me? Okay, so write down everything they say, and of course, just remember to say thank you. And yeah, do remember that feedback, whether it's good, bad, or useless, it's up to you whether you take it. So you can take the good feedback, the useful feedback, and you can leave the rest behind. Okay. All right. So yeah. So I hope you've gathered some interesting feedback and had some interesting perspectives on your games. Let's go to the next part, which is publishing. To publish your game is the first step in finding more people to play it. Again, because you're going to want feedback on the game. So when after you have published a game to itch.io, which is where I'm going to show you how to publish it, people will comment on it, and yes, some of that feedback will be useful, some of it will be not so useful, and some of it might be just downright completely useless. So always remember to take the useful feedback and let the rest go. So how do we do this then? How do we publish the game? So first thing you're going to want to do is to visit itch.io, and if you haven't already, register for an account. Otherwise you can log in. I'm logged in with GitHub, so yeah, go to the dashboard, and here are the projects that I've uploaded already. So we're going to create a new project, but before I do that, let's prepare some of the files. So the first thing we'll need to do is actually export this game. So I'm going to export the whole game. I'm going to create basically an HTML5 build, which is a build that runs in a web browser. I'm going to click next. I'm going to accept all the defaults, and I'm going to click next again. And then lastly, I'm going to open the export manager. I've already done this once, but there's the latest build at the top. So I'm now going to download that. And I just want to mention something interesting about this, because so there's my HTML5 build. Now, it's zipped up, but even if I did unzip it, I won't be able to play it from my local machine. And that's just because of the way the game is packaged for HTML5. However, as soon as I do upload it to itch.io, it will be playable. So just remember that you can't easily open this project and run it locally. Cool. So we have the build now. The only other thing I'll do is I know I'm going to need a screenshot for the for the home page of my game. So I'm going to run the game for a moment, take a nice little screenshot, and take a little. Oh yeah, okay, that'll do. Probably you can arrange your cells, a more action-oriented screenshot than this. So I did that by pressing Command Shift S on the keyboard. Or Windows key Shift S on the keyboard. If that doesn't work for you, then you're going to have to manually find the snipping tool. Okay. All right. So now I have the screenshot. I'll just save it. I'll save it to my desktop to be ready to use. Yep. Cool. Okay. So I got a screenshot. I got my build. I'm ready to go. So let's go back to Itch. So in Itch, I'm going to create a new project, and I'm going to give it the title Deep Shmup. Yep, I was struggling to spell that for a moment. Cool, cool, cool. I'm going to upload the cover image as well. So go to desktop. Is this one? Okay. Right. And notice that the project link or URL is there. So I'll be sharing that later as well, so other people can play it. Short description or tagline. So I'm going to say shoot 'em up in space. Yep, so come up with tagline, shoot 'em up in deep space. Yeah, why not? And yes, it's a game and downloadable, sure. So the release status. Technically my game's in development, but I'm not going to do much more in it. So I'll say it's a project is complete and it's a release, but it might have some further updates. And then I'm going to go, so that there's pricing. So people can choose to donate, which you might have seen if you ever looked for game assets on itch.io, but they don't have to. And now the upload. Yes, I need to upload the game build. So if I go to my downloads and I select that zipped up HTML5 build, and that will be ready to go. Cool, cool. So that's fine. Now description, and here I just want to say maybe a little bit to help the player get familiar with the game and how to play. So I'll say like shoot the enemies while you collect as many parts as possible. Okay, and then I might say controls and bold this, so blah. So the controls are mouse, aim and shoot with left, right buttons, and then arrow keys for movement. Okay, cool, cool. Nice and simple. The genre, so I'm going to choose action. I want to put some tags in here, so I might say space. And I like this word shmup a lot, so I'm going to put that in there. And yeah, I haven't got this game uploaded anywhere else, so I don't need to touch those. Custom noun, I'm not interested in that. Download and install instructions, well, they're just going to be playing it in the browser, so we don't need to change that. Yes, I forgot something. Where is it? I'm looking for the part about whether it's embedded or full screen. So, yes, HTML5. So this is the kind of project I need to set to HTML5. And then because I've done that now, there's an embed options section here, which says how should your project be run. I'm going to say, well, when you click to run the game, it just goes to full screen. And yeah, so that's all done. And okay, so community, yeah, I would like people to be able to post some feedback about my game. I'm interested in hearing what they have to say. So you can choose comments, which just leaves a little thread at the bottom, or you can choose a more elaborate like discussion board. Maybe a discussion board is for like if you're intending to work on this game for a longer period. So I'm just going to go with comments myself. And visibility and access, I'm going to change this to public. So anyone can play the game. I want to be able to share it everywhere. And I'll uncheck this disable downloads and purchases thing. So I'm all done now. I'm going to click save and view page. And it should load up immediately. Cool. So there's the description of that. Shoot the enemies while you collect as many parts as possible. The controls, blah, blah, blah. More information, some information about the build there. And there we go. So people could start to write comments if they wanted. So if I click run the game now, then it loads up. And there we go. So my game running in the browser for everyone to see. There we go. So now, literally, I'm gonna click back here just so I can go back to the games page. So literally, from this point, I can now share this link with anyone I want, which is the next step. So I am a millennial, so I use Facebook, but you might have various other places that you share your wares. So I'm going to make a post on Facebook about my game. So I'm going to say something like, how many parts can you collect? This is like to kind of entice people to play it without getting blowed up. And then a link, of course, to the game. And notice that Facebook embeds this nice little link here. I'm a bit surprised that the screenshot hasn't shown up already, but I guess that's takes some time. And then I'm going to post that. There we go. Cool, cool, cool. Sweet. So that's how you publish your games to itch. And that'll bring us to the last challenge of the lesson, which is called publish your own game. So yeah, export your game as HTML5 build, upload it to itch.io. Make sure you leave a space for comments and feedback from players, and then share a link to your game online so that people can play it. So I hope that's been fun to put your game out there in the world, especially if it's the first thing you've shared on the internet. I know it can be a little bit frightening at first, but yeah, let's see what happens. Let's see who plays it and if you get any feedback on it. And do remember, with feedback, take the useful and leave the rest behind. Okay, everyone. See you next time.